Hey guys, tonight we are going to make some chimichurri sauce. It is a Latin pesto basically, super common in Venezuela and Argentina. Tonight we're going to make kind of the Argentinian version, which is going to be very vinegar forward. Super easy to make, just a couple of ingredients. This thing goes great on everything. It's sort of like a pesto with a Latin flair. Goes good on steaks, fantastic on fish. You can put it on rice, you can put it on your tits. It doesn't matter. It's absolutely delicious. Simple ingredients: salt, pepper, red wine vinegar, parsley, garlic, oregano, some red chili flakes, and some olive oil. The best part about this dish is normally I just chop up all the ingredients and I throw them in a blender and boom, you're done. It's just like a salsa. I got a mortar and pestle at Ross for $4 though, so I'm going to try to make it with that. But just know you don't need any of that fancy stuff. You can just literally throw this in a blender and it'll taste absolutely fine. So let's get started. First thing, parsley. Doesn't really matter what type of parsley you use as long as you're not using curly parsley. This is flat leaf parsley. It's what we grew in the garden. Pretty straightforward, grows like a weed. You should be growing it. Curly parsley is going to be the garnishy stuff that you see at Carrabba's on the side of a pasta dish. Nobody likes to eat it. It's really tough. Not the best for this dish. That parsley is kind of better if you're cooking. We're not cooking, so we're going to use the flat leaf. Go ahead and chop this stuff up really fine. Throw it in your blender if that's what you're using, or I'm going to throw it in my pestle. Alright, so it looks like we've got about a half a cup of parsley here, which is absolutely fine. We're just going to proportionally use the other ingredients based on how much of this I have. So if I've got, for every cup of parsley, you're going to want to add maybe 2 tablespoons of fresh oregano. We've got about a half cup here, so I'm going to do about 1 tablespoon. Actually, I'm probably going to do a little more than that because I really like oregano. Next up is going to be oregano. If you're thinking this is the weirdest looking oregano you've ever seen, it's probably because you're right. This is called Cuban oregano or variegated Cuban oregano because of the white on the outside. It's what we have growing in our garden, but any type of oregano you use is fine. This stuff is super thick and fuzzy. It's kind of funny, but it's absolutely delicious and full of flavor. You probably won't find this at a grocery store, but that's okay. Again, any oregano you use is going to be fine. We're going to chop this up, about a tablespoon's worth, and we're going to go ahead and throw it in here. Well, we're at way more than a tablespoon here, but that's okay because I really like oregano, so we're just going to add it anyway. Next, garlic. We're going to throw 2 cloves of garlic in this. Again, it's garlic. If you want to add more, go for it. But I think 2 cloves is enough to bring out all the other flavors. Garlic is super strong. Everyone loves it. But the oregano is really beautiful in here. And if you add too much garlic, it's going to overwhelm it. So for mincing garlic, I like to cut the top and the bottom, but not all the way through, just so that it hangs on by a little thread. And I use that little thread to peel the rest of it. Next, we're going to add some red chili flakes. You don't need a lot of this stuff. If you like it spicier, by all means add more. We just want a little bit of heat, not like hot. We just want it to kind of like make the ends of our tongue tingle. So about a half a teaspoon of this will be fine. But if you like spicier, go for it. A couple dashes, we'll call that good. Cool. Next, a little black pepper. I don't have a pepper mill, don't judge me. And we're going to use some salt. I'm using Himalayan pink salt today. Because, yeah. About a teaspoon of that should be plenty. Red wine vinegar is gonna be next. Basic, whatever the cheap stuff is, doesn't matter. I'm gonna add about a tablespoon of this in here. Lastly, we're gonna use the olive oil. Remember, it doesn't really matter what you're using, just make sure it's first cold pressed in general. This one you're gonna kind of have to eyeball. You want the consistency of the sauce to not be drowning, but you want it to be liquidy. Kind of something like that. The oil's just floating on the top a little bit, but it's still got some body to it, you see? So normally, you could throw this in a blender, give it a juke juke, quick little 2 chops, and you'd be done. Just let it sit until you're ready to use it. It's better at room temperature than it is refrigerated. Just remember that. I've got a mortar and pestle, so I'm gonna grind it up. I've never tried it before, but I'm going for it. At this point too, you can finesse the ingredients as you want. If you want it a little more vinegary, add some more. Mine needs a little bit more salt, so I'm gonna go ahead and mix some of that in there. And I'm also gonna do a dash more vinegar because I like mine on the tartar side. Add these ingredients slowly but surely. A little goes a long way, especially in anything that's this small of a batch. That's the stuff.